Ice Age: The Meltdown is directed by Carlos Saldana and stars Ray Romano, John Leguizamo, Dennis Leary, and Queen Latifah, and tells the story of Manny, Sid, and Diego after the events of the first film, now all living with harmony with all the other mammals in the Ice Age. But when the entire land is about to be threatened by a flood coming from on top of the icebergs, the herd had to now travel all the way across the other side of the valley to try and get to this boat which could save their lives. Along the way, Manny is contemplating whether or not he is the last of his species. Sid is not getting along with Manny and Diego and is struggling to figure out if he's good friends with them or if they want him. And Diego is afraid of water. Yeah, watching this movie again, I realized that apart from Manny and maybe Sid, these character arcs are not really the strongest. And we are introduced to a few new characters. Crash, Eddie, and Ellie. And Crash and Eddie, I'm gonna be honest, I enjoyed them as a kid. And they're okay here. They have a few laughs here and there. They don't get as annoying as in the sequels, in my opinion. But in my opinion, apart from being part of Ellie's backstory, you could cut them out and you wouldn't miss a beat. Apart from maybe a few set pieces maybe being rearranged. But they don't really contribute that much to the story, and I don't think the movie would change at all, especially with the message, if they were cut from the film. Ellie is a interesting character. I enjoyed her friendship dynamic in the first half, but when it starts getting to a romantic a part of the film where Ellie and Ellie start to fall in love, it gets a little bit contrived, a little cliche, but at least it was set up and you're somewhat able to buy it. And the music in general also is really good. I gotta be honest, the music here is really good, and the only problem I have with it is just that the sequels ruined the music. I'm sorry, but the sequels overused Meltdown's themes too much, to the point where I don't want to hear it anymore. But here in the context of this film, the music actually works. It is a different score. There are different tunes from the first film, but it does fit into that same world and still was able to form this movie's own identity. The animation also got a step up from before, and you can really tell that they're able to up their game here, though it's not quite there as with the other films that Blue Sky will produce later on. It still looks very different from the next few films, but overall the animation ain't too bad and is a major improvement over the first, which I still thought had pretty good animation for its first feature film. As for the humor and writing, again, pretty standard in comparison to the first. But there's nothing I hate about it. The humor works pretty well at times. But Scrat's involvement in this film is a bit different. Whereas in the first movie, apart from the first and final scene with Scrat, Scrat usually have little cameos here or there that take up a couple of seconds. Here, Scrat has actual full-length scenes, an actual subplot regarding his nut. And I really thought that throughout the sequels, rewatching all of them, they overdrawn Scrat scenes. Luckily, they're still very funny to watch, and you are still engaged in his slapstick comedy. And I really enjoyed him still, despite his scenes going on a bit too much. I would have preferred it just being like a couple of seconds like before. But yeah, despite that, I still enjoyed Scratchy and his involvement. And at least in the end and beginning, he has some involvement in the story, in the main story of the movie. Overall, I did not like this movie as much as I used to as a kid, but there wasn't much that I hated about it either. I thought the story was a natural progression from the first, at least. The humor is still funny. The animation got a lot better. And the character, despite not having as interesting character arcs, still had character arcs that begin and end. The pacing is fine. The villains are kind of forgettable, to be honest. Like, they're not really there apart from like 2 scenes majorly. The themes overall worked overall well. This is just a good, fine movie, to be honest. I loved it as a kid, but it was one of my childhood movies. But as I grew up, it did not really stuck as much with me as with the first film. And overall, it's a fine movie, I guess. You could watch it. Kids will enjoy it. There's some good messages to be out of this movie, but I don't think this one's gonna stick with you for a long time. So for that reason, I'm gonna give Ice Age: The Meltdown a B-. I am very surprised I gave it this low of a positive grade, but I still very much enjoyed it after all these years, and it's not terrible. And I would still recommend it. It's just not as strong of a story as the first film, in my opinion. I even think the third one is probably the overall better film, and I'll get to that when we get the chance. But overall, this is still a good enough middle chapter in what I wished was a trilogy. Oh boy, can't wait to talk about the other movies. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys next time.